See that? It looks pretty cool. Lava Fett thinks it's pretty cool. Look at that. The platform. It's on fire. Of course, those are some pretty simple animations. You could do something better if you were so inclined. What is Rainboshi? Rainboshi is all the colors. We love Rainboshi. That's kind of a thing you can do. If you're not in the Discord, get in there! You can learn how to mod games. You can learn how to give the crab a gun. Doesn't that look awesome? Hello, and welcome to a Brawl modding tutorial. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at how to add animated textures to your characters and stages to give them more life and vibrance. Basically, think of this like a GIF or an image sequence. We're going to learn how to apply those to both characters and stages, and show how you can tie them to an animation, or just tie them to the object overall. And we'll do some examples of that, as you saw in the demonstration. The type of file that we're going to be working with is called a pat-o file, which is an animated pattern. What is that? Again, basically that's like a GIF. It's an image sequence that the game reads. We're going to be able to adjust certain properties of the image sequence, including the timing of the frames, the length of the animation, and whether or not it loops. And we can apply this to different characters for different reasons and tie it to one of their animations. So if you wanted to see them like power up and have an animated texture to go along with that, this is how you do that. Now is when I'd like to announce the voting for the next video. You can either vote by commenting on the tutorial video, or by voting on the short, or you can vote on the Discord server, and you can choose which two-dimensional sprite character I will be making for the next game between the character Blue from Gunstar Heroes, Ronald McDonald from McDonald Treasureland Adventure, Chrono from Chrono Trigger, or Spot from Cool Spot. So if you want to see me make one of these characters in Brawl and have them be a pixel sprite character, go and vote for that. So with all that said, now we're going to get into taking a look at a pat-o file inside of BrawlCrate. First we need to get something from the game. So we're going to open up where your dolphin is. If you're using the ULNSK, then you can follow along. You can get this from the Discord server if you want to just get a quick start into modding. Open up your dolphin. Oops, let me drag it over. And we need to get some files, so we're just going to right-click and go Properties. And over here in the file system, we're going to get some things. For this video, if you want to follow along, it'll be easiest if we just get the entire stage melee folder. This has all of the levels in it, but we'll just get the whole folder and throw this somewhere on your desktop. Let's make maybe a new folder for this episode. Pat-o tutorial. And because we're extracting like a group up here, it's just going to ask you for the folder, because it is going to in that folder, just put the entire folder and you'll have all the stages. We'll be taking a look at a couple, so let's just get that for right now. Now we can minimize Dolphin, and we'll go into BrawlCrate. If you don't have BrawlCrate, check out my other video to get a link to it. I'll throw a link below as well. Just going to open one of these for the time being. Now, we're going to take a look at a stage for an example of what this actually looks like in an actual thing that exists within the game. And so you can look around all the levels if you want. We're going to take a look at a green. Yeah, stage DX greens. We'll open that. This is the Kirby level. You can take a look at the model up here. You recognize that. Now in here, you remember there are some blocks that get filled in, and those blocks look like that. But remember, sometimes they can have like a bomb on it or a different pattern. And so within the model data, you're going to have an AnmTexPat, which is an animated texture pattern. And then within that, this is the pat.o file itself, and it has stuff within it. So if you want to see what it actually looks like within the game, this is how it's set up within a stage. It's always good to take a look at it. Kind of cool because you can click on the texture 0 and hit play. We can just turn on loop. And you can see it's an animated texture like that. This is actually pretty uncommon within Brawl overall, because usually there's a more efficient way to do this kind of thing. But in an example like this, where it's actually something that is changing, this is a good example of a reason you would want to do this. So now that we've seen one inside of game, we are going to take a look at adding one into a stage. So for this, we're going to do Smashville. You can choose whatever stage you'd like. Where is Smashville? I think it's called Village, yeah. So just grab your 00 stage village, and then this will be good because it has a couple other things in BrawlCrate I'd like to show off as a bonus. This stage does not have any... you can do preview all models to see what we're working with here. We all know the stage. Good one. This stage doesn't have any animated textures, except maybe some of the background characters. But what we're going to do is show off how to add an animated texture to something that already has an animation with it that you want to associate, which is more normal. And then if something doesn't have one, we'll show that as well. So first, we're going to take a look at the platform of the stage, because this actually has an animation. We can see that by opening the model, expanding some of these. You can see it has one animation here. If I zoom out and hit play, it's moving. So this has an animation. So if you wanted to tie an animation of the texture to this, that's what we're taking a look at now. Now first, you're gonna want the texture, I suppose. So how do you find what textures are applied to this? You can go inside of the model data and go to materials, and then you'll see, you don't need to expand that, I guess, but you'll see the textures. So which one do we want to try animating? Well, for me, I'm going to do this one because it'll be quick. So this is a texture called Stage Yuka Sokamen. Okay, great. We're going to go down to the textures, which are in a different data group, like you have your model data, but texture data is a separate one, usually near the bottom. And we're going to find Yuka Sokamen. So here, we can right-click, export, and we'll just throw this here. And I'm just going to add a little animation for that. Okay, here I just opened up the texture that we exported in whatever image editing software you want. I'm going to do a quick animation that's just visually obvious when we test it in game, but you could do anything. And if this was the floor, you could add like a rain texture or like pulsing lightning, or, you know, vines that kind of writhe around a little bit. So I'm going to cut and kind of just show my stages of animation as we go. Alright, I thought it would be kind of funny, maybe we could set the platform on fire. So I'll just do like maybe one frame where the fire is like here, and then I'll save another frame like here, and maybe one where it's like up here, And I'll just save them out like that so that we can see some animation in the game. Now, when you're saving these, it will be useful if you give them an easier name to work with later. So right before the file type, add a dot, and then you can put like 01 or 02. Doesn't really matter, but this will just help for later. So you're going to be exporting the same thing, and just give it a good name. Okay, we got those saved out. So we have our images here. We can go back into BrawlCrate, because what we'll want to do is add these in. We're going to add them into the texture data inside of here. So you can just right click and go import textures. This is why we gave them names that are easier. You don't want to import the one you already have, because we can just use the one that's already in the file. So just import your new ones. I'm going to ask you when you import it what kind of file you want to have it. I found that usually leaving this format as whatever it suggests is fine, but if you take a look at the image that you were working from, you can see that its format is RGB 565. So maybe if you run into issues, you could go back and re-import them as that file type, but I've just been sticking to what it suggests because the file size seems to be less. What's the most important is the dimensions. Just make sure you didn't change anything there. We can hit OK to import all 3 of our new textures. We can see them here. Beautiful. So now that those exist within the file and we have them named, can collapse texture data, and head back up to the platform that we were going to work with. Now inside of here, because we're we just need, this is the animation that applies to this object here. So all we should have to do is add the pedo to this model data group. So up here, you're going to right click and go new. And here you can add a texture pattern. This will throw the AnmTexPat and the new pat down here. Now, before you do anything more, it's good to actually do a couple steps. So first, over on this side, there's the frame count and loop. Change these. Loops maybe not as important, but change your frame count to whatever you think it's gonna be before you get too far into it. So for this one, let's say maybe it could be 100 frames long. And then we need to make this file, it needs to be named the same thing as the animation. So we're just going to rename this, but we're just going to copy it and close. And then we're going to rename this. We're going to paste it so that they have the same name. When Brawl reads this, it's going to look at this file and it's going to see that this is the name of the file. And it is then going to associate it with this animation. So just by naming it this, we have associated it to this thing that already exists. So we're done with that for right now. Now that we've set the frame count, and yes, we do want it to loop, you can right click on the pedo file and hit new entry. And you can expand this and you'll see a new node and a texture 0 and a new texture. This first one, the new node that's right after, this needs to be the name of the material that is going to be affected. Similar to how this is tied to the animation, now this one is the material. So inside of your model, you can expand it and find materials. You remember that we're working with the Yuka Sokamen, or however you pronounce that, apologies. And so we need to right click, or I mean, you could just write it down, but just copy it. And this is the material, and inside of it is the texture. So you want to copy the material name. It's just by happenstance that these are named the same thing. That it doesn't have to be. Like, these probably all are, but they don't have. This is the material, this is the texture. So copy the material and put it down on your new node. And now those are associated. Now inside of texture 0, you don't do anything with this one. This is just where you can play it. This new texture is the textures that are going to be affected. Like, these are in the list, the image sequence. So now we need to add all the textures into it. The best way to do this is we can go back up here. Because we know this is the texture, we can copy it. And then we can paste that. It's the name here. If we click off and click back, you can see it updates and it's good. Now, you want to add more, because we made 3 images. So right-click on the texture 0 and go New Entry. We have another one, but we need a couple of new ones. We have these ones. And we remember from before when I said it's a good idea to just name things easily. So I'm just going to paste the same name and go O2. Rename this one O3. And rename this one O4. And you can see it's updating and looking great. Now on these textures, as you made the new ones, it was incrementing them for their frames, but only by 1. So we're gonna go over and take a look at that. It's on this side. The frame index is the number where this frame will start. You pretty much always want your first one to start on 0, so you're gonna have that. But then we remember back to when we made the pedo file, we made this a 100 frame animation. And so we're gonna break these apart, fill that in. So maybe here on the second one, this could be frame 33. Oops, let's do 33. And as you enter that, it's going to reposition them. So now because this one is at the latest in the animation, it automatically puts it down there. So don't get confused by that, because sometimes it'll trip you up. We'll make this one 66. No, I don't think I broke these apart well. Let's do 60. That's fine. And then this one can be 80. Okay, let's make this 25. 50. 75. Yeah, that's probably good. Now we can click on this one and hit play, and it will give us a little example. Awesome. So again, let's just take a look at the pedo file that we made. For a stage that has an animation, like this has a model, and it had this animation where the stage goes back and forth for the platform. You are going to right-click on the model data and go New, Pedo. That will create this for you. This first one needs to be named the same as that animation. And then within it, this needs to be named the same as the material, which is under the 3D model. Material. Don't do anything with texture 0. And then these need to be named after the actual textures, which are down in your texture folder. The actual texture file. Now we've done all that, looking pretty good. We are going to take a look at a model that does not have animation, like the stage. You see how when I open that, when I open model 2, it just has a 3D model, but this one had the animation. So what do we do now? Well, luckily this isn't too much harder. We're just going to right-click, go New, texture pattern. Now this, because there's no animation for it to be named, just name it the same as the model. We can copy the model name and rename. That's going to be the same. Remember to set your frame count to 100 again. And it can loop, yes. Now we'll right click, new entry. This needs to be the name of the material. This is fine the way it is, and then these are the textures. So on the stage, again, just to show, we're going to try to find material for some of that wood. And it looks like it's one of these ones. But I did try before, and Maruta was actually just this little stump that pokes out. But anyway, let's do Maruta. Oh, that's the texture. I'm going to just copy the material. Again, it's just a coincidence that they're named the same. They don't have to be. We need the material name. And we will rename our material here. New texture 0, a new texture. Lucky for me, I already have an edit of this, so I'll just load that 1 second. Okay, so I need to just import it back into the texture. Import texture. Here, I just made, you can see I just exported the Maruta texture and made it purple. Again, this is all good. Let me just remember, it's 0.2. We can remember that. And 0.2, okay. Click off, click back on, great. But now we need the original, of course. Maybe I should just did this first, but that's okay. And it'll just flash back and forth. Why not? It's already set up to be 100 frames. So on here, this one can be frame 0, and maybe this one can be frame 50. Here. You can see that play. And we'll be able to notice that in the game. And with that done, for a stage element that has no animation in the model data, you just name it like that, and this should be good to go. Now remember, you do want the material. Where is the material? Stage Maruta. Here. You do want the material to have... Actually, maybe I should have did this the other way around. You want the material to have the texture that is the first texture of your sequence. Oh, whoops. That... Okay. Yeah, no, I'm doing that. What did you do? No, you can be 0, and you can be 50. Okay, whatever. We'll just rename this one. And then we'll make this one 0.2. BrawlCrate wants to be that way. That's fine. Still works. But you want the first texture to be named the same thing as the texture in the material. That's just good practice. So that's all done then. Now we have 2 animated textures. We are going to save out of BrawlCrate. And this is where there's some cool new stuff compared to the old times. We can save this. Let's just throw this in a folder inside here. You can choose a save as type. And one thing for Smashville that's really useful is you can save it as Smashville, which will give you automatically all of the different save outs. And that just is very handy, so that's really nice. Now we can take a look at this. Where did we save it? It automatically saved all of the versions of it for you, so you don't have to do that manually, which is really great. Alright, now we're going to throw it into our dolphin. So go back to your dolphin folder, or wherever you have your SD card, following along with the ULNSK. You're going to go User, Load, WeSD Sync, Private, We App, IRSBE, PF, and this is a stage, Melee. We're going to throw it in here. Just grab all of them. Copy them over. Awesome. Now we can go back to our dolphin, which we had open. We need to go up to Options, Configuration, over to the We tab. We're going to pack the SD card. We added something, but we need to pack it. Now we're going to pop open Gecko, and we are going to test out that file in-game. And if everything went well, we should be good to go. Okay. You get to hear my awesome character screen, of course. You can make your own.
That's a lot of characters.
Let's do some characters we never really mess around with. I'll be Snake, sure. Yeah, we'll get a... let's do some King DDD, sure. So we saved over Smashville. That is this stage over here. And you see that little nub? See this nub right underneath King DDD? How it's flashing back and forth, purple and normal color. The platform. It's on fire. Of course, those are some pretty simple animations. You could do something better if you were so inclined. You could have maybe like, you know, on the ground here. Maybe you wanted to make a stage that was raining. That's something I've been thinking about. You could have the ground actually have animated rain ripples and impact. Or if you had like a wall surface, you could have rain running down it. But you can see down there that purple flashing. You know, that's obviously just very simple. So you could do something better. Pop that balloon and we can get out of this. Now we are going to learn how to add a animated pattern or animated texture to a character. So we are going to need a character to work with. Go back into the file system under Fighter. And I was thinking we could use Ike. So I'll just extract his entire folder. You can see in it here, he has his pack and character colors and his motion. We want all that. So we'll just export this. Yep, that's good. Oh, we should have thrown that in a folder, but that's okay. Minimize Dolphin for now. We have BrawlCrate. We can close what is open in it. Nice and clean. And we are going to want, what's this? A second BrawlCrate? Oh my. That's right, 2. And we're going to throw them open like this. Now, what are the files that we need? We're going to go to... yeah, in here. Oh, it did put it in its own folder. Oh, that's good. So in this case, we need to look at a character because that's where the texture data is. But inside of the motion file is where we're going to be associating it to the animation, like we did with the platform. We actually need to open 2 files at once. Or you don't have to, but it just makes it easier. So on the right, we're going to open Ike a fitike00.pack. We're going to open that. And then on the left, we're going to open fitikemotion.pack. Inside of the motion file is his animation data. You can see some animations, like when he's waiting, or dashing, or running. That's where those live. And then inside of the fitike00.pack, this is like where his model lives. So we can preview all models and take a look at him. And that's the blackness is his shadow model. So if we looked at, I guess just this, it would look better. So in here, how can we add an animated texture? Well, you can see in the motion there is no texture data. The texture data lives within the pack file. So we're going to need to first figure out what texture we want to animate, or what we want to do, and then we would be adding those textures into his texture data. So I'm just going to look through, and what I thought would be kind of cool is if I made his cape kind of like set on fire or something when he does attacks. That's his hair. You could give like his hair kind of has a swaying in the breeze animation if you wanted. This is probably most of his cape. That's the top of his cape, I guess. Okay, so we'll just take this and we will throw this in here. Again, open that in whatever photo editing software you have. Here I have this. I'm just going to add some fire onto it and I'll show you that when it's done. All right, here's my amazing texturing skills once again. We're just going to send like maybe we'll do like 5 frames and send it like all the way up his cape with some different animation. And I'll just save those out, but you can do whatever you want. Maybe you wanted like cracks to form, like when a character does a punch, maybe their hand could like harden into stone, and you know, like they kind of like change as their attacks go, or maybe when they're running their shoes would glow or animate or something like that. You could do whatever you think you want to do, but I'm just going to do some fire on his cape and I'll see you when that's done. And just a reminder, when you're saving these out, make sure to give yourself a nice name. So this was like fitike04, but that's fine. You don't have to change that. Just add dot and then your number after, so you remember really easily which one you were working with. Okay, I've got all those saved out. Now I can go over to where I saved them. I got them all here. I actually ended up saving out a few, because that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus the original, so that'll be pretty cool. We need to, with those textures, add them into the texture data under fitike00.pack. We can right-click Import Textures, and we can grab all of the new textures we made, open those up. You can see it's suggesting a different file type. We can just say OK to this for now and fix it if it becomes an issue later. Go OK. This one's suggesting a different file type. Just go with what it suggests, and then if you get an error, this can be one of the first places you go to troubleshoot. But I'll let BrawlCrate do its thing. So we have 02 through 06. But we're going to be using the original texture here. And so because we're not replacing this original one, we can just leave everything within the model data as it is. But if you wanted to have this be actually a different texture to begin with, all you would need to do is go inside the model data, into the materials, and you would find the material that has his cape. What was it named? And this looks like it might be it, but it might be the front or the back. Let's see if it's this one. That's Monto. Then you see here within that material is the name. So if this was something different, all you would have to do is just change this to whatever your texture was. And as long as the first image in your texture sequence is named properly with the material that your animated texture is going to affect, then that'll all work. So if it was different, you would change it here, but in our case, we don't have. But we will remember that this is Monto. And I'll just do maybe a quick search if there's anything else that might be the cape. And no, I checked the rest of them and I think this one is the cape. So once we have our material, we know the name of it, and we have imported all of our extra textures, the rest of the work that we need to do is inside of the motion file, because we are not going to be adding into our model data, like on the stage, we don't add the texture sequence into here. We're going to be adding it into the motion. And so for now, with our character, you can just have their materials open so we remember, and go over to the motion file. Okay, so we're going to add the Pato file or Pato file into the motion, and that's going to be under the animation data. So right click, go new, pattern sequence, texture pattern. That will add that down here. And now in here you can set the loop and the frame count and stuff, and you should do that right away. So we made quite a few textures. So if we have the original +5, then it would be good if maybe we did a number that cleanly broke into that. So maybe let's do 32. Let's do 60. Yeah, that'll be easy for my brain. And we can turn loop true. And now the name of this needs to be the name of an animation. So where do we find that? You can expand the animations up here, and you can name it something. So just for the purpose of the tutorial, I'm going to name it Wait 1, Wait 2, Wait 3. And we will also do the taunts, which are appeal high, appeal low, and appeal side. That's way down here somewhere. Here they are. We'll do these ones. And we'll also do an attack. Maybe his dash attack. Sure. So you need the names of these things. It can be handy to open another BrawlCrate and just have this part open so you can just look at it instead of having to keep going up and down. But I know what these are named, so I'm just going to name this one Wait 1 because that's the animation name. Now that we've named it that, whenever the character is playing the Wait 1 animation, this will get engaged to do our image sequence because now we've linked them like that. With our frame set and it named, we can go new entry. And we have new node, texture 0, and so space here. And our new texture. That's just the same as it was on the stage. So this one here needs to be the material name. We have Ike open over here, and the material is Monto. We'll rename, copy that. Rename, paste that. Now these things are linked. So when this animation plays, it's going to find this material and replace it with this image sequence. If you wanted, you could have multiple materials affected by the same animation. You would just add another entry like that, and you would have to link another material. Of course, you would have to have an animation for it. We're just doing one for this one, show a basic example. Texture is fine. New texture. This is where we're going to have to find the actual textures that we had. So here we have the original. We'll copy that. Paste that in here. Then we'll go a new entry, and we'll add a new entry for all of them. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. Name this O2. And here you won't get a preview of the image, so you can't confirm that it's working correctly, at least like not immediately. So do a copy paste if you want to be really sure. So I'm just going to copy that, and then I'll be able to just 3, 4, 5, and 6. And that will be linking to these textures. But we can't see it over here. Not yet. So now with the textures, we need to set what frame they will play at. Remember, we want the first one to be 0. That's great. So we're going to do 10. See it put it all the way down there, which is kind of confusing sometimes. 20. 30. Part of the reason why naming them is helpful. If you just had them named randomly, it could be confusing if you get them out of order. But because I've named them in the order that they should be, that's not so bad. 50. Right? 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Great. So if I watch it here, it won't work because it doesn't show the texture. But that's okay. With this done, you have this linked to the animation. You have these linked to your textures. And your material is linked as well. You can save both of these guys and it will work. But I wanted to do a couple extra animations like I was saying before. So I'm just going to show how to do that. Again, we'll remind ourselves of the names that we wanted. One of them was feel capital. Okay, we'll just rename, copy this so we don't mess it up. And then we can, let's just minimize this, give us more space. We can duplicate this by right-clicking on the paddle, duplicate it. And now we're going to rename this to appeal high or whatever other animation you want. And then this is still linking to the material. These are still linking to the textures, and they still have their frame number, and this still has the frame number and everything. So this will work by just copying it around, and it saves you a lot of time to set it up once. If you have, something you're going to apply to lots of animations, you can just duplicate it like that, or use this as a template, because now you can change this frame and adjust these things from there. You can just set it up one time, and then it's easier to copy around. And we'll do another and another. This one will be LW for low. And this one will be S for side. And that'll be good enough for us on this one. So we've got our AnmTexPat file set up in the motion. We have our textures added to our bitike00.pack. We've got it all set up. We're going to save this. And we will save this as example. Why not? You can save it however you'd like. Now another new feature of BrawlCrate, which is really handy, or maybe this was in a later version of BrawlBox, I don't remember, but now when you're saving a pack file, you can save it as an archive pair, which will save it as a pack and the PCS, which is really nice. So now when you take a look at that example, it saved them both. Isn't that just so lovely? I love that. Now we're going to save the fit motion. This one's easier, just save it like how it is, that's no biggie. And we got both of those. That's all you got to do for that. Now we're going to add it into our SD card. So we're going to go back, of course, into your SD card all the way to the PF folder. Now, this is a fighter, because it is Ike. We're going to make a new folder for Ike. Name it Ike. This doesn't need capitals, just do lowercase. And we will just copy these files into there. Now we need to pack the SD card, because we're going to check it out in-game. So pop back open your Dolphin, options, duration, ActBSD, yes. Now it's packed, we can open Gecko and get back into the game. Of course, this is always where you get a little bit of anxiety whether it worked or not, but pretty sure we did that right. Alright, back in it. This time we'll do full screen to help see.
That's a lot of characters.
God damn, that's a lot of characters. Now, if the game crashed right then, you messed up. You're gonna have to start over. Another time the game might crash is when you select the character. So if it crashed right now, you messed up. You gotta start over. The next time it might crash is when you actually load the stage. So we're just gonna do this on Battlefield. So if it crashes right now, then you would have messed up. It seems like it's working. And look at that! You got a cool animated cape. Oops. Oh no, oh. Alright, embarrassing. Lucas, if you could leave me alone for a second. I'm trying to show off my sweet cape. See that? It looks pretty cool. Boba Fett thinks it's pretty cool. Look at that. You can do that for anything. I mean, you could have his attacks light up his sword, or you could do a cool move where when he grabs someone, like, he glows, or his fists turn into metal or something. Like, you could have a Mario where whenever he takes damage, he has an animation where he gets burned or something. There's animations for characters when they're electrocuted and or stunned like that. You could add some fun things to it, or like when Ike uses Eruption, maybe he could turn all fiery. Now you can get pretty creative and in-depth with characters, but this is an example of one way to add it to the character. While I was messing around, I was testing on some other characters, and one thing I always thought was, Yoshi, you can be different colors, but you can't be all of the colors, and it's really, you know, it's a hard thing to choose. Maybe I don't want to choose. So we're gonna make Rainboshi. We're gonna go on this stage, why not? And what is Rainboshi? Rainboshi is all the colors. We love Rainboshi. That's kind of a thing you could do. There's probably a better way to do that, but yeah, if you're just having fun with it. You make them change color like that. Isn't that awesome? Please vote down below with a comment on the tutorial for which 2D sprite character you'd like to see. We have an example of a character here. You can vote in 3 places. You see our crab? You can vote on the tutorial with a comment. You can vote in the short with the poll. You can vote on the Discord. If you're not in the Discord, get in there. You can learn how to mod games. You can learn how to give the crab a gun. Doesn't that look awesome? Ike's got a flaming cape. You can get angry like that. We're going to make a 2D sprite character. And if you'd like one of those characters to be the one that I show off in the video, give a little comment. Check out the Discord. Yeah, you can see maybe some animations on the damage that I added to this crab. Come on, hit me harder. Got a cool little taunt there. Come on, hit me. They never hit you when you want them to. Come on. Come on, man. Hit me! Oh, what are you doing? Hit me! It's not hard enough. Well, I did an animation. There we go. You see how he's upside down. You can add animations for when he takes damage and whatnot, but if you want to see another 2D sprite character, like this one, grab it again, vote down below. With that, that's the end of this video. You can use the texture patterns to do many things, and you can use them in combinations with other things. Like imagine in the 2D stage template that I have as a download on the Discord server, you could replace that background image with an animated image, and you could have something really cool back there. Maybe it could be some kind of animated background from a game. You could find the sprites from an online resource, put them into the sequence, and make something really cool for a stage. Maybe you want to add some textures to a character. Like, one thing I thought would be kind of cool is if when Samus does attacks, some parts of her suit actually glow, almost like she has some extra energy going to it. So when she like does the jab attack with her fist or the gun, then that part of her suit would actually glow or something. And you could really do as many things as you could think about with an animated texture. I will say it's not very data efficient. It costs a lot of memory to do that because you need a new texture for every single one. So if you're gonna do it, try to make sure that it's worthwhile, but have fun with it and try it on stages or characters and let me know how that goes. Thanks so much for watching. That's gonna be it for this time. Love to hear your vote for the next video, because making that crab was actually a lot more fun than I thought it was gonna be, and I'd like to make a 2D sprite character as we go on. So have fun modding Brawl, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.